Jupiter and Saturn, the Great Conjunction. What do you need to know? What is up, alienARMy? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore, and on this channel we discuss everything out of this world. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing the event of 2020, the Great Conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. So this is happening on December 21st, 2020. Does that date ring a bell for you? I am going to get into a brief esoteric explanation of my interpretation of the energy of Jupiter and Saturn, and then I'm just going to go over what exactly the layout in the sky is going to be on that day and give some interpretations, okay, and what it means spiritually for the collective. So Jupiter and Saturn are what I like to call intermediate planets, all right, because they are the bridge between the personal planets, which is you know, Mars and Venus and Mercury, and the universal planets, which are Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. So the intermediaries are Jupiter and Saturn, and I consider them actually to be equal opposites in a way. Now, you don't really see this in astrology, at least I haven't seen it anywhere, but Jupiter and Saturn, to me, as conveyed to me, Jupiter is abundance and gravity, drawing things towards you. It's more of like an elevated Christ consciousness, and Saturn is more of an oppression and restrictive and sort of like that fear barrier that you need to move past in order to gravitate things towards you. And it's more of that lower dimensional, fourth dimensional, satanic mafia type of consciousness. So if we want to look at it that way, we have like the physical realm planets, which are Mars down, and then we have the universal, which are higher consciousness, which are Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, those, okay, I don't need to keep repeating all the planets. I mean, I'm sure you know the solar system. So the bridge really is fifth dimensional energy, Jupiter, and fourth dimensional energy, Saturn. Now, Saturn has a lot of different connotations, but for astrological purposes, I am going to say that Saturn is the planet of somewhat of you getting past your own self-limiting restrictions. That is what Saturn is opening the door. Okay, actually the door, there are no doors. I was conveyed that one time, and you know, the Mushroom King said to me, we opened the doors so that we can show you there are no doors. And I was like, oh shit. So there are no doors, but Saturn is really the illusion of a door, right? Because it's that fourth dimensional oppressive energy that it's sort of like, it's showing you what's past it, but it's also showing you your greatest fears that are coming from within you, why you are not moving past it at this time. Whereas Jupiter is fifth dimensional Christ consciousness and above, and the energy from the fifth dimension. Remember, fifth dimension, everything just is at once, right? There's no time, there's none of that foolishness going on in 5D and above. So we have Jupiter, which is gravitating everything towards the individual at once. So if someone wants some ice cream, mint chocolate chip, holla, and they think about ice cream, boom, they are going to have the fulfillment of that ice cream the very second they think about it. Whereas fourth dimension, it's like, well, you know, if I want my chocolate chip mint ice cream, then I'm gonna have to, you know, potentially spend money that I should be saving for this, or I'm gonna have to put on my clothes and go out in the rain and buy it. Like that's the difference. I don't know where that little metaphor came from, but we gonna roll with it. So that's how I'm viewing the difference between these two planets, at least that is conveyed to me. So we have Saturn, which wants to help you out of there. Remember, Saturn, I do not see Saturn as bad or negative, but Saturn is showing you what your greatest mental perceived blockages are to moving forward. And Jupiter is just kind of presenting everything to you. It's like that guy who like opens up his shirt and like there's a whole bunch of like gold Rolexes and he like, you want one, you want one, you want one, I got a good price, right? So that's really the difference, right? Jupiter is showing you abundance and how abundance is right next to you, and Saturn is showing you hindrance that you perceive in your mind, and it's also showing you how to move past it, step through the doorway. Like fear is an illusion, because like the main lesson of Saturn, if I had to sum it up why Saturn astrologically is associated with karma, is because Saturn is showing you where your own perceived limitations are, and Saturn is beckoning you like, listen, like, do you want to be oppressed? Like, let me show you your biggest oppressor, which is within you, so that you can move past it, and that's how you release your karma, so to speak, okay? Whereas Jupiter is just like, hey, everybody, let's party, you know? So now that I got that out of the way, these two planets are going to be in conjunction in 0 degrees on December 21st, 2020. We did hear another like 2-year, 2012, December 21st, 2012. Now it's 2020, another 2-year, that's why I said it. So we have that. That everyone was saying, you know, because the Mayan calendar, their Baktun or whatever, I think it's called the Baktun, was like, that was their last cycle or something. It ended on December 21st, 2012. Now we have December 21st, the Great Conjunction 2020. So if you want a short answer, I do not believe the world is going to end, okay? If it does, then, I mean, who cares? Ain't none of us going to be here to deal with it, right? But I don't think that that's what's gonna happen. What I'm seeing with this convergence of the energy of Saturn and the energy of Jupiter in the sign of Aquarius, right? Aquarius in and of itself, remember, what's happening? Age of Aquarius. To me, it's already started happening, but if you want to really get solid, concrete, like we're in the age of Aquarius, boom, Jupiter and Saturn meeting, converging in the sign of Aquarius together. We have 4th dimensional energy, we have 5th dimensional energy, we have these two side by side working together, right? So when you see that these two planets, what they're doing for you, that Saturn is presenting you fear so that you can move past it into the joys of Jupiter, which is presenting you shiny things, everything you ever wanted, 4D and 5D are enmeshed over the 3rd dimensional realm, which I do get into further detail in some of my other videos. When we have these two titans of the sky and they are together like that in the sign of Aquarius, now we have the freedom and the rebellion to do what we always wanted to do. Remember, Aquarius is also the sign of humanitarianism and accepting other individuals as they are and expressing your own individuality and hopes and wishes, and how you can really live your dreams out in fruition in your material realm experience. So now when we have Jupiter and Saturn here in that sign, what's going to happen is that a lot, because, you know, the whole current events things, I mean, we all waking up. I mean, if you were asleep before, you ain't asleep now, because shit's getting way too obvious what's going on out there. But I digress. So this is really the wake-up time. It's sort of like the alarm clock, the buzzer, that is going to go off for a lot of people, at least in a metaphorical sense, where they are going to see that their fears and their greatest dreams are really just illusions, right? Because we have Jupiter beckoning into 5D, and we have Saturn saying no, but in order to ascend into 5D, you have to face your fears that are only of a third dimensional construct. So that's what it's about. So a lot of people are going to wake up, they're going to have that sort of lightning bolt moment with, like, you know, that Aquarius, that I know moment. It's like boom, it's like it's just gonna hit them all in one moment, and they're gonna be like, oh shit, I see what's going on now. And wherever you're at along your journey on that day, you know, you are going to have a major swing upwards on the pendulum. So this is going to be really a meeting of the mind, okay? It's going to be taking your fears and taking your greatest dreams and sort of pushing them together and saying that, listen, in order to live out your greatest dreams, what you have to do is acknowledge and confront your greatest fears that are really only your fears that you have, subconscious or not, that are keeping you from living your dream reality in the material realm. So some interesting transits that I find that are going to be going on that day. I'm not going to name them all, obviously, because that's going to take way too long. But on December 21st, 2020, Jupiter and Saturn are going to be both squaring Uranus and Mars. Now, Mars and Uranus are going to supercharge this Saturn and Jupiter conjunction, because remember, Uranus is erratic, uncontrollable. Mars is forward momentum, pushing things forward. It's aggression. Both of these planets can have aggressive tendencies to push forward without thinking. That's why I'm saying there's going to be a lot of, I feel like a lot of you are going to be having your own epiphanies going on, your own downloads, whether you consider yourself to be a spiritual individual or not. Definitely on that day, and you know, obviously depending on your chart, whatever planets you got going on in there that day, you are going to be receiving a lot of downloads yourself, and you are going to awaken to a greater sense of consciousness from that day forward. So there might be a lot of sudden information dropped that seems to be out of nowhere, and it's sort of like, I don't want to even say like the Tower and Tarot, because a lot of people like, oh shit, no, I don't want no Tower. But the Tower is really something that it's not taking away anything from you that's serving you. It's taking away things that aren't serving you. So it's sort of dismembering your fears. That's like a weird term. I don't know why I used it, but we gonna roll with it. It's dismembering your fears, and it's taking them away, and it's putting it into little bits and pieces, like Mars aggression, Uranus out of nowhere. So it's like, look, like now that we laid everything on the table, we dismantled your whole fear paradigm, what are you going to do about it? And it's going to be in that moment, like click, and then you're going to be able to finally move past something that you might have been struggling with for a while. And with Jupiter and Saturn, they're also going to be conjuncting Pluto. So this is a universal planet, which is why I feel that this is going to be happening on a grand scale on Earth, because Pluto is revolutionary and it wants to keep moving forward. It's also the higher octave of Mars. So again, we have a lot of these planets are considered malefic in astrology. So we have that malefic, that forward moving, that pushing forward momentum that's going to be going on in the sky on that day. So with these two planets being conjunction Pluto, it's going to be happening all over Earth on a grand scale. And remember, to each individual, it's going to be occurring uniquely for them, but it is going to be happening in sort of like that lightning bolt out of nowhere. Like, you know, I personally really love thunderstorms. I love it, but like at times it's like when you have that boom, that loud smack of thunder, it can be a little like, oh shit, like where did that come from, right? And then it's like, oh, it's just a thunderstorm. But at first, when you don't know what it is, there's that sense of like, whoa, what just happened? So that's the best way that I can kind of relate what's going to happen. And I mean this not in a physical way, though for some instances, just because we have Mars going on in this equation, there might be some sort of physical thing that happens, but I'm seeing it more with these higher octave planets coming in, that it's going to be more of like instant moment of recognition of what's really going on, that is going to be happening in like a spiritual sense to propel the whole collective consciousness of Earth forward. And for the personal planets, now that day, when I did the chart for that day, I did 12 p.m. because when you don't have a specific time, it's just 12 p.m. is kind of like, that's where you do it. So I did 12 p.m. and the moon is in late degree Pisces. Okay, obviously for my time zone. So again, I don't know where you're going to be at watching this video, but it is late degree Pisces for my time zone, which means that it might be, you know, first degree Aries for some others, or it might transition into the first degree of Aries at some point on that day. So I'm just gonna say moon in Pisces transitioning into Aries. So again, we have an ending, as Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and a new beginning, which Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. And I'm going by tropical astrology here, so everything that I'm reading, I read tropical astrology, at least with this particular thing here. I know that they say VEDIC is very good for predictions and things like that, but I'm doing tropical because I'm most familiar with tropical, so there we go. So it's going to be moon in Pisces, progressing into Aries. So we have the closing of one chapter, and then we have the opening of a new chapter. So we have Neptune into Mars, right? Pisces, Neptune, Aries, Mars. So this is going to be illusions that we're not serving the individual, that are going to dissolve away with that power of propulsion forward by Mars. So I feel like on that day with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, what's going to be going on for a lot of people is that there's just going to be like this again, lightning bolt moment. And it might be a little startling at first, but not scary. It's going to be something where you're like, whoa, like, here's some new information. What do I do with that? But then it's like quickly the pieces of the puzzle are going to align themselves properly, and you're going to be able to see the bigger picture, just because we have Uranus and Mars. So it's like Uranus is that bigger picture, everything at once, I know, that lightning bolt download. And then Mars, it's like you can see how that download of the bigger picture fits into your personal reality, and then you're able to utilize that bigger picture and move forward in your physical domain experience. This is going to be happening because Pluto is in on it too. This is be happening on a grand scale. So the effects of this might be seen for a little while after that. Like some people might be still adjusting to like their new shift in their reality, but I'm seeing it's going to be more like an earthquake or a tidal wave, but metaphorically, but not a damaging one. It's just going to sweep away the remnants of what is not serving the individual, and it's going to show them as it sweeps away with that aggression of Mars. It's going to be showing them with that Uranus clarity. It's going to be showing like, look, like whoosh, we got rid of this because this is what's coming in. And then you're like, oh shit, and then you're able to quickly accelerate forward from there. So that's what I see for this Jupiter-Saturn great conjunction. It's also going to be, from what I've read, it's going to be available all over Earth with the naked eye. So if you want to check that out, yeah, some good stuff there. So thank you for joining me on this little stroll through astrology. I am Oculus, the alien next door, and we will chit chat again soon.